bridge anymore. As you can see, it is clearly labeled Du Sable Bridge, and that is in honor of Chicago's very first non-Native American settler. His name was Jean-Baptiste Pont du Sable. He was of Haitian descent, and he had a trading post just to our right in the plaza we call Pioneer Court in the year 1793. There's actually a bust of Du Sable there if you'd like to see what we guess he would have looked like. Now folks, take a look at the second flag flying from either side of Du Sable Bridge. That's the City of Chicago flag. It's white with 2 blue stripes and 4 red stars. Everything on the City of Chicago flag represents to defend against Native Americans. 4th Dearborn was burned down 9 years later by Native Americans. The second of the 4 red stars represents the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, a massive urban disaster which destroyed our with 2,019 rooms. Now, if a big hotel is just a little bit boring, I tend to agree with you. But what's not boring is the stunning
I promise you. I brought an umbrella. Every time I bring an umbrella, it doesn't rain. So, anyhow, my name is Phyllis. I'm going to be your tour guide for the 75-minute Chicago River Architecture Tour. Our tour today will take us down the main branch, the north branch, the south branch. We're going to go back down the main branch to the turning base, and then we'll turn around. Before we get started, though, a little bit about Chicago. People always wonder, well, why are we considered the architecture capital of the world, or at least one of them? The reason for that, people, has to do with a great fire that hit here in 1871. Terrible tragedy. 17,000 homes and businesses destroyed, 250 lives lost, and of course, 65% of the city was totally leveled. Terrible tragedy on the one hand. On the other hand, kind of a twin-edged sword, a chance to rebuild. It was a clean slate, and architects from all over flocked to the city. It was here in Chicago that the first skyscraper was built. That skyscraper, the Home Insurance Building, was built in 1884, just after the fire, and not too long after we invented steel. It created a grid, and that grid, people, for your information, allowed us to hang glass, stone, all sorts of different materials, without having to worry about the weight of the building pushing down. Another thing that increased the skyscraper was the fact that in New York they invented the lift, or as you know it, as the elevator. So the first skyscraper, the Home Insurance Building here at LaSalle and Adams, unfortunately has been torn down, but we have other buildings in its place. Let's start our tour. We're going to see almost 80 buildings today. On your right-hand side, you have a building that is known as Trump International Hotel and Tower. Completed in 2009, the architect was Adrian Smith. The building, believe it or not, people, 92 stories high, the second tallest in Chicago. The building also has 3 setbacks. You can see them at the top. The setbacks, of course, complement the buildings around them. Why setbacks? The setbacks help to will help with wind shearing. The building is poured concrete wrapped in steel and glass. There are 472 condominiums. In addition, there is retail space at the bottom, a five-star hotel, and if you are interested, people, there is a penthouse still available at 17,000 square feet of space. It is raw space. You can do whatever you want with it. You just need to write Mr. Trump a check for $32 million and the checks. Beautiful building, fantastic views. Coming up on your right, a black building by the great German architect Mies van der Rohe. He came here from the Bauhaus School of Dessau, Germany. His philosophy of architecture, less is more. And I have to tell you, this building is steel and glass. The only architectural ornamentation are the thin I-beams that you see around the four sides of the building. Formerly known as the IBM building, today it's a home to the American Medical Association. The lower 16 floors happen to be a major five-star hotel called the Langham, which is owned by British developers. Now, Mies, by the way, taught architecture at RIT, the Old University of Technology. At that time, it's called the Armour Institute. One of the students was a man by the name of Bertrand Goldberg. You look over to your right. Two twin towers poured concrete around the central elevator court are by Mr. Goldberg. Now, he loved natural forms. And as you can see, these apartments, or they were apartments in Chicago's, were very narrow and they got wide, almost like a pie shape. There are 13 floors of parking, and on the lower level there is a bodega, shops, restaurants, amongst other things. Now, Goldberg was a student in this one, but he never bought into this international town that was associated with Mies van der Rohe. So the two of them kind of were in conflict with their ideas and philosophies of architecture. That building, by the way, has been used in many movies. In The Hunter, with Steve McQueen, they drove the car into the river. It was used in My Best Friend's Wedding, While You Were Sleeping, to name just a few. The building with the brown awnings on your right, that is known as the River Northwestern Hotel by KOA Architects. A promenade leads to this blue glass building here, which is known as the American Bar Association building. This is 37 stories tall, designed by the same architect who worked on the Willis Tower or Sears Tower. It looks a lot like the building we just saw. IBM building, but uses more modern materials. To the right, we have a building that's known as the Reed Burdick Center. Now, if you were on this river 120 years ago, barges, all kinds of tugboats, oil slick, and all kinds of warehouses. Today, this is the last remaining vestige. It's 1914 by George Nimitz. It's a masonry constructed building. There are 6 bays to the right, 5 to the left. There were 6, but one was taken out for the widening of the South Street Bridge. Today, of course, it's commercial office space and a new restaurant which is open called the River Roast. Out here right now, one of the newer buildings on our river, this is 2009. It's a green building, what we call LEEDS. LEEDS is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. The building has a green roof, which means there are plantings that absorb the rainwater. In addition to that, the building uses the river water to cool its air conditioning system, which means there is no emission of gases. Everything in this building can be recycled. That includes things like the furniture, the carpeting, even the copy paper that they use. 325 North Wells right here is also another building. Is retrofitted by movie. And in addition to that, also uses river water. One of the largest buildings, people, ever built in this country is now on your right. This is the Merchandise Mart in Chicago. It covers a 5-acre footprint, 4.25 million square feet of space. Up until 1996, it had its own zip code. 500 showrooms for wholesale furniture, and 8 miles of corridors. The building is Art Deco in style. Notice that it's limestone, which most architectural buildings are. It has setbacks, which also is a characteristic of Art Deco. And a lot of use of geometric forms. You can see the diamonds and the chevrons. Those bronze heads, those are all great merchant princes. If Eileen wanted to make a ruler for the Lord, they're not looking at us, they made their money there. By the way, the building cost $31 million. Completed at 31, I'll tell you what happened. The Depression came, Marshall Field, which had for 16 months on warehouses, they had it built. They had to sell the building for back taxes, $13 million. The family that bought it was the Joseph E. Kennedy. This was a club in their portfolio. The Kennedys sold this building, are you ready for this? For $576 million after only paying $13 million for it. They sold it in 1996. The building that says Sun Times was the original apparel mart. When the Sun Times building was torn down to make way for a building that was known as the Trump Tower, they moved here and a lot of windows. This area here, people, is where Chicago put down her roots in 1825. This is where there were a couple of shacks and a tavern called the Wolf Inn, which is where they probably raced a tanker here and said, what are we going to call this place? They came up with the name Chicago. It's a Miami Native American, has two meanings. Number one, strong, tall, and big. We like that one. The other is smelly wild onions, which refer to the wild onions that used to be harvested by the Native Americans. What's going on here? The Kennedys still own this. They are building 3 skyscrapers. Right now, this one, 50 stories. Next to it, 90 stories. Next to that, 70 stories. The entire complex will be completed by the year 2020. For your information, they will be mixed use. This one is all residential. The others will be hotels, and etc. Now, the people that aren't happy are the people in this building right here. And this is called the Residence of the Riverbed. These people the building sits between the railroad tracks and the river. It's very narrow, so you can put a parking lot in. When you come home, you hand your parking pass, your keys, I should say, to your car, to a valet who takes it up on a single car elevator to your parking space provided. They start at $65,000, plus you must pay homeowners association fees and real estate taxes. The building has beautiful townhouses, so you can see where they're a little bit upset about having their view blocked, because that was one of the selling points. Those townhouses sell for $2 and $3 million. I'll pitch the pink building on the way back, but the building on your left here coming up is by architect Harry Weeks. Harry loved to sail on Lake Michigan. These are a good example. He loved the triangle, the shape of the sail. These are called the Chicago River Cottages. They are 2 6-story, 2 4-story. They have very comfortable with outside privileges. These particular buildings were built in 1986, and as I mentioned earlier, Harry Weeks was the architect. Now on your right, we have what is known as the East Bank Club. When it was built, it turned its back on the river. None of this was here. And then what happened is when we got new neighbors, they added the new seawall, they added trees, they added ivy, the plantings. Of course, it's much more neighborhood friendly. The East Bank Club is where the jet set is. Indoor tennis, racquetball, squash, health fitness, they have a running track by the road. This is where Barack Obama's entirely often works out. Oprah Winfrey, when she lived in Chicago, often worked out here as well. On your left side, we have what is known as Kinsey Park. Kinsey Park is a 70-condo development modeled after the European row houses. There is a patio, a balcony, and a rooftop terrace. You have masonry construction. It was designed by Papa George and Haynes, and I have to tell you, in 1992, when they opened the model, I went to see them. Not to purchase them, they were $1.25 million at that time. I just went to look. That day, every one of the 70 units had a deposit on it. They are now selling for between $2 and $3 million. Whoever bought one made a very good investment. So as we go underneath, the next bridge to your right is the old Wallace Press Building. The Wallace Press Building, people, used to print business cards. So it's a heavy-duty building, it's concrete, based in brick. Done in 1914 by the same architect who did the rebirth on the The building actually has, all the windows were added, all the balconies were added to this particular unit. And these are what we call in Chicago soft lofts. I don't know if you know what a soft loft is, but you have an enclosed bathroom, generally a fully or partially enclosed bedroom, and then an open floor plan, usually with ductwork or brickwork exposed. Very popular, as opposed to a hard loft, which is what we think of artists, you know, and whatever's there is there, miners, pipes hanging. This is a little bit different, and of course very popular. On your right side now, we have something that is known as Park Place. This is by Solomon Cornwall Events. And Park Place, people, you'll notice the windows jut out, so you can look both up and down the river at the same time. The 2 buildings right here, This white one here and this white one, those are by Lucian and Grange. They're in what we call the European industrial style. Notice the exposed steelwork and the glass block. The buildings themselves, this one is called Kingsbury on the Park. This is called Erie on the Park. And notice all the glass block that you have down below. Now, if you look to the right, there's a blue building with white sides. That building, by the way, is the corporate headquarters, or was the corporate headquarters of Montgomery Ward. And the blue glass, by the way, was replaced with dark glass. There were no corner offices because Montgomery Ward did not want any corner offices. He said no one should feel that they're better than the next. The building was designed by Minoru Yamasaki. You probably don't recognize his name, but he was the architect for the World Trade Towers in New York, and he also did this the same year, 74. Now the park that was there, that was supposed to be a 52-story building. Chicago was concerned about density, so of course we added the park. There's a children's playground and even a doggy park that you can see off in the area right here. Now a couple other things that I want to mention, and that is about Montgomery Ward. Who was he? Some of you may remember these big catalogs we used to get. You know, they had farm equipment, they would have clothing and automobile parts. Well, today with eBay and shopping online, those are kind of a long lost item. But Montgomery Ward was the first, followed by Sears and Roebuck and Spiegels, etc. But we owe him a debt of gratitude for something even more. And that is the fact that Montgomery Ward, people, was a man who gave us something that no other city in the world has. He fought to save our lakefront for everyone to enjoy, not just the people living in these fancy high-rises. And after $500,000 of his own money and about 10 years in the courts, he won. Today we have 26 miles of parks along our lakefront. Anyone can ride a bicycle, walk, sit on the grass, enjoy the lake. It is open to the general public, and that's thanks to Montgomery Ward. On your right, we have One River Place. One River Place is the old corporate headquarters of Montgomery Ward. You know, Montgomery Ward went out of business in the late 1990s, and all the buildings have been converted. That one is called Montgomery. This one is called One River Place, and all the balconies and additional windows, which kind of give it this Art Deco flair, were added. Now, as we go underneath the bridge, if you look up, you're going to see a tower, and that tower on top of it has a sculpture piece. Her name is called Progress. Letting the girls encounter, you can see her up there. She was a favorite piece of Montgomery Ward, so they kept her, there on top of a ziggurat tower. The large building on your right, this building, folks, happens to be the warehouse of Montgomery Ward. You'll notice a strong horizontality. During this time, when this was built in 1909, we were very much influenced by an architect by the name of Frank Lloyd Wright. He did not do this building, Schmidt-Garden and Martin did, but it was a time when Frank Lloyd Wright was promoting his prairie style. Prairie style meant that the architecture reflected the land. We don't have mountains or hills, so it's very flat and very horizontal. You can see by the bands of brick and even the panels underneath the windows. Now, when this building was converted to the domain, there are residential units here, and on the other end, commercial. In fact, Groupon, I don't know if any of you have heard of them, they're located in this building. They found 350 pairs of roller skates. I'm going to date myself, not shoe skates, those metal ones you clip on your shoes. And we have discovered that when Montgomery Ward hired people to work in the warehouse, they had better well be able to skate, because he wanted them to skate as fast as they could through this building, filling those orders. To the right, because the Irish English used to raise east there, the building, the red brick building that says Kendall College, people, that is our culinary arts college, turning out some of the great chefs that are not only servicing Chicago's restaurants, but not only this nation as well as the country. Now I'm going to do a little boasting. Just recently, Chicago was named as the best gourmet city, passing up New York City. We have over 7,000 restaurants in the Loop area, and of course, as I mentioned to you earlier, some of them are, being serviced by some of these great chefs that we turned out here at Kendall College. On your right side, the Chicago Tribune Freedom Center. This is the facility that cranks out the daily newspaper. There are 7 gloss Metroliner presses. These presses, people, are so huge, each one on its own foundation is solid bedrock. They each can crank out 70,000 copies per hour, so that's 700,000 copies. Well, as most of you know, papers are going digital, so as a result of that, they are not printing as many Tribune, but they're printing other newspapers, including the Midwest version of the Wall Street Journal. About 15 years ago, the Tribune ran a poll to find out what buildings are the ugliest in Chicago. Which ones did Chicagoans think were the ugliest? And of course, theirs came in number 2. And you have already seen number 1. The Sun Times building on Wolf Point, that is considered to be one of the ugliest buildings, even by the American Institute of Architects. In their book, they talk about it as one of the dirtiest buildings. Let's talk a little bit more about the background of our city. First people here, Native Americans, Potawatomi, Crow, Kickapoo, Blackfoot. Then they were followed by 2 European explorers. One was Pierre Marquette. He was a cartographer, a map maker. The other was Pierre Marquette was a Jesuit priest, and Louis Joliet was the cartographer. They were going down the Mississippi looking for a way to miss the Indian Ocean. They lost. The Native Americans said, you know what, the Spanish are here already. So they turned around and they were told, follow the Great River. Well, that's the Mississippi. It connects to the Canadian, Illinois, which connects to the Des Plaines. They portaged or carried their boat to the Chicago River, and the Great Sea that they found was Lake Michigan. We know it's not a sea, but it's 308 miles in length and 114 miles wide. It has a 1,600-mile shoreline. And of course, I'm sure when you're in a canoe, they're pretty daunted. Chicago grew slowly. In 1803, the first fort was established here, Fort Dearborn, right across from where you folks boarded. And then by 1837, we had a population of 3,000 people in the city incorporated. By 1871, and after the opening of the Erie Canal in 1848, we were the fastest growing city to the west. And we had 300,000 people. When on the night of October 8th, 1871, I'm going to show you the site. This is O'Leary's. Barring caught fire. I almost said her cow caught fire. I hope that it didn't burn. We're not sure the cow Daisy kicked over the lantern. It's quite possible that a meteor shower, more likely people, this is O'Leary's son, used to gamble, and it's quite possible that he was in the bar with some of his cronies smoking and drinking, and maybe a spark ignited the bar. The fire burned for 2 days. It burned from south to north, and when it got to the river, everyone thought, oh, it's going to stop. It jumped the river because the river was so filthy, and what happened? It continued to burn. So it was put out the second day by a major thunderstorm, but it destroyed, as I mentioned earlier, 65% of our city. Well, you know, Chicago rose to the occasion 1 week after the firemen started to rebuild. And 19 years later, we were ready to put our best foot forward, and the United States government announced that they were looking for a site for the world's Columbian Exposition. Boston, New York.